Hello and welcome back to another Campfire Music Foundation interview. I'm here in New Orleans with the incredibly amazing singer, songwriter, recording artist, educator, entrepreneur, Cyrille Aimée. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're here today to talk about what it's like being an artist in today's music industry. But before we get into that, I know you just got off tour, so how was that?
It was super fun, but very long and exhausting. And I'm so happy to be home.
Yeah. So your new album came out just 2 months ago now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How has it been touring that?
It's been really gratifying to sing my own songs. Mm-hmm. And these songs that have been like kind of waiting for years to come out, and like for them to not be mine anymore. They just belong to everybody, and that feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Has the reception been good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the meaning of Fleur de Peau?
A Fleur de Peau?
Fleur de Peau. On the surface of the skin, right?
Yeah, that's the literal translation,
Okay.
but it's an expression we use in French to say when you're very sensitive to everything, like you see the beauty in all the little things, everything moves you. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that most of the time, and especially when I was writing these songs.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Any big plans in the works? Anything fun on the horizon you're excited about?
Just writing more songs.
Yeah.
And building a music retreat in the jungle of Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. That's one of my projects. And also more concretely, I just recorded 3 nights at Birdland live.
Oh,
and it sounds really good, and I think I might release it.
Good. Oh, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So what was the motivation behind opening the Costa Rica retreat?
I've been going to that jungle every year for like the last 9-10 years, just to take a break from the music, because then when you come back to it, it's much more fresh. And I just realized that when I was there, I was writing a lot. It was very inspiring, and so that's why I decided to build a house there, because I wanted to invite friends and stuff, and I ended up designing a giant house, because I'm not an architect, and on the paper it looks small. But it ended up being a very big house, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I realized I don't want to tour this much forever. Yeah. It's too much on the body, being in planes all the time. And so I want to kind of have a way where I can be still and have the money come to me instead of me going chasing around the world for it. And so I just have this vision of having a music/permaculture retreat, discovering art, discovering nature, all in this beautiful bioconstruction, natural materials made house in the middle of the jungle next to a very magical river, and
it's beautiful.
And inspire artists,
Have you been able to bring any of your artist friends there yet?
Yeah. Last winter there was 10 girls from New Orleans came down, fun. And we stayed for a week there. It was Girl Island, and it was really fun.
Cool. But yeah, so just to jump right into it, what have been the challenges that you've had to overcome in making a sustainable music career?
Well, there's no money to be made from record sales, unless you're out there selling your own records, but you don't get money in the mail. Even though, like, one of my most listened songs is a cover of Just the Two of Us that me and a Brazilian guitar player played, and it was maybe like 14 years ago, and it's still my #1, and I've recorded a bunch of records since then. And I have never seen a penny from that, because when we recorded that, we just signed with the Japanese label, like, we got paid like $500 for the session.
Yeah. And now it's your...
Yeah. And I don't even know where this guy is. I don't even have a contract, because we were babies, And I'm sure now it belongs to us. I'm sure we didn't sign for 15 years.
Yeah.
But it's just so hard, and you know, the time to get a lawyer and all that is just not in the cards.
Yeah.
So there's things that were not smart of my part, but you know, sometimes you're misled. Like my first record contract, I was misled as well. My manager had me sign this thing where instead of, like the contract I'm in now is just they, how do you say, we're signing the album, not the artist, and I signed.
You don't have to sign away your name or your...
Yeah, and your masters.
And your masters, yeah.
And I signed away all my masters,
wow.
my previous
yeah.
record. So, because, you know, I'm a musician, I'm not a businesswoman.
No.
I've become a businesswoman, and I'm actually pretty good considering, but still, there's a lot of things. And like I was telling you, I could, you know, spend time researching and doing all the right stuff in order to get more money, but I'd rather just spend the money and gain the time. To me, the time is more valuable than the money, and I know I lose money, but at least I'm not like pulling my hair looking for answers.
Yeah. Did it take you a while to learn how to navigate those types of contracts and learn how to make sure that your own interests are... I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people, not necessarily bad intentions, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first time that I had to deal with a contract and then I realized that contracts are tricky is when I was, I think, like 19 or something. I was going to be in this reality TV show in France called the Star Academy. It's like American Idol, but in France.
Okay.
It's pretty big. And we did like weeks of auditions, going from 5,000 people down to 3,000, 1,000. And then there was 16 of us who were going to enter this castle where we'll be filmed 24/7 doing singing, acting, dancing. And every week there's a prime live on TV and one person gets eliminated. And the winner gets like a million euros and a record deal and whatever. And so, you know, I was 18, 19, and I was just starting to discover that I really love to sing. And I was one of the 16 people. I was already on the cover of magazines, you know, that when you go buy your food, you see the magazine, there's my face. And so it was like
you were like 18,
yeah, it was like the dream right there. And then, like, maybe 2 weeks before the first prime, before that's it, the show is starting. Now we have our 16. They gave us the contract, and it was this big. And my dad was like, okay, we need to get this checked by a lawyer. Yeah. And it was a really hard decision to say no. And I said no. Because although it was kind of like, it looked like the best thing to be on TV, you're going to be famous, and you know, this is like a dream when you're 18. I had just discovered jazz, and they already were kind of being like not letting me choose which songs I can sing, and I'm like, I want to learn music. I want to do my own thing, and the contract was basically, you belong to us for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I said no, and I left last minute. And then since then, every time there's a contract, I'm wary of it. But you know, it's...
So you kind of had that experience at a younger age of realizing that they might not have your best interests in mind.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, when you have a manager, you want to trust him. And sometimes, yeah, it's difficult because it's not our job. You know, we make music.
Yeah.
We don't know how to go through that stuff.
Yeah.
And lawyers are expensive.
Absolutely. So how do you diversify your income to support your career, and what revenue streams are most dependable for you?
Touring.
Just touring?
But touring is very taxing on the health. Like, I feel a million times better than 4 days ago when I just got here.
Yeah.
just by being 4 days here, it feels so much better. Just having a kitchen, knowing what's in my food, choosing my food, and
waking up in the same bed 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, and just being able to move my body, and also to be outside. Because when you're on the road, you're never outside. You're always indoors, and it's not indoors with windows, you know. Airports don't have windows. Planes don't have windows. You're just sitting, waiting to be from point A to point B. And the crazy part is that because the music is so powerful, because it has such healing powers, that 1 hour and a half in the evening is worth all of that.
I'm sure.
And that's what makes it hard, because you're like, why am I doing this? I can't. And then you do the gig, and then you're like, okay, I remember.
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, but it must be hard, because like you're saying, it's just you're constantly going. You never get a break.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you work so that you can buy a little house and make it nice and everything, but you can't really be here.
Yeah. So, just touring, do you see anything from streaming or from recorded music?
No, but I sell merch. I sell CDs, vinyls, and I started actually selling tote bags and shirts, which, if there was a real good system for it, it would be really awesome, because it really brings a lot more. But the system of carrying boxes from taxi to airport, from airport to hotel, and then you have to choose so much, because, you know, there's the guitar in the back. And the planes don't let you with an instrument. It's always a fight. Always. It's always a stress getting on a plane, because you're like hiding it. You like got it on your left shoulder, and you're hoping she's not going to see it when she takes it, take it. So it's very stressful. I've stopped carrying my looper because of merch.
Yeah.
So I can't do my loop number on stage, because I have to make money with merch. And because I go out for so many stretches of time, I need clothes. And so there's just so much you can carry, you know?
Totally.
So it's complicated.
Yeah, it's insane to me that you have to live on the road.
Yeah. Well, that's why you asked me about my project in Costa Rica. You know, I want to be able to say no more, and to go out on the road when it's good money and when it makes sense. Because sometimes the routing is crazy. Like right now, I just did a tour where I started on the West Coast, and then I went to New York, and then I went to Asia.
Oh, over the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So I just want to, you know, minimize the plane time, and, you know, like sometimes the West Coast is cool, because you fly there and then you rent a car, and then that's way cooler, because for the merch it's great. You just put it in a box, put it in the car, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry, I have too many things to check in or whatever. So that's more mellow. So I want to be able to try and do more tours like that, where you just fly once and then drive, or in Europe you take the trains. And yeah, and then try and get a revenue from this house that I built, where I spent all my money on, actually, for maybe 3 years. Everything I make has been going to that house, because I you know, built it from the ground up. So it's and see how I can make a living there.
Absolutely. Next question is, more specifically, how do we kind of already talked about this, but so you don't see anything from streaming? You don't really rely on it as?
Well, definitely not from the albums that are on a label.
Yeah.
They see that.
Yeah.
And they're never going to let me see any of it.
So it's all advances and no? Okay.
Advances, which means, it's your money.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 4 records on a record label that I've been out of now it's been 5 years. The first record was maybe 8 years ago, and I still haven't seen a penny. But the one that I put out, me and my friend, guitar player, I see some streaming, you know, because it's
you
me.
own the masters, yeah.
So it just automatically splits between the two, half and half. And yeah, it's not a lot, but it's still something that, like, oh, I didn't have to take 5 planes to get this. Nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know a lot of jazz musicians especially feel that way, because a lot of jazz musicians just want to be recording artists. They want to just be in the studio and be able to support themselves by recording and releasing music. And unfortunately, that's nearly impossible to do.
I think it's a balance, because, I mean, I know personally I would go crazy if I didn't perform.
Sure.
You know, like I said, you know, it's very hard to be on the road, but then when you get off the stage on a good night, you're like, wow. You know, it's everything makes sense, and you're like, it's so worth it. Being on stage and performing for an audience that's grateful. But yeah, I think it would be nice if it's not necessary to do it constantly.
What sort of values have you held close to you in your career that have kind of helped you navigate life and your art? What sort of things do you try to remind yourself of, or?
Like on stage or on the road or in life? Like,
I guess on stage first.
On stage, I mean, now we're talking about music. Just my goal is really to be in the moment and to have fun and to share love, the energy of love, and to learn every single time, to learn whenever I'm performing, and to really listen, and yeah, to be in the moment, to sing every song like it's the first time I'm singing it.
Totally. It's beautiful. And like you're saying, like that makes it, the touring, the 8-hour plane rides, that feeling makes it worth it for you.
And but that's when it's good. But when the music is not happening, it can be the opposite effect. It can drain you even more. And at the end of a tour, you're just like, you're depressed. When, you know, when, for example, these days you can't have a band because everyone has to work. So your drummer that you love to play with is not available for this tour. So you have to call your second favorite drummer, and then he can't make it because he's on a tour with whatever. And so you have to call your third drummer. And so when you're performing with a drummer that's not really familiar with the material or whatever, you're working double, because you can't. Priority is not being creative and being in the moment, like I just said. Priority is making sure he gets the hits, making sure he knows where we're going. And so you're being musical director, you're just getting through the gig, and it's work. It's a job.
It's exhausting, yeah.
It's exhausting, and so that doesn't give you energy.
No.
You know, there are moments where it's like, yeah, this is happening, but mostly you're just being band leader, and so that drains you. And when it's every night, when you don't get that refill of energy that the music is supposed to give you, the traveling is all the more taxing. And
how do you keep a positive attitude?
For me on tour, the most important is the hang. As long as the hang is good, you know, like, because the music is 1 hour and a half, but you're hanging with these guys for 20 hours every day. You're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with them, and so
the people you're with,
you know, the connection. Like I have this pianist, Mathis Picard, who we've been playing together, and we've been going on the road as a duo a lot, which helps financially, and, you know, there's just so much less for me on my shoulders. You know, I'm taking care of less people, and just the hang is so sweet and so relaxed and chill, and it just makes touring a breeze. And it's not always like that.
Sure.
And that's me, like, being a singer and playing my own music and stuff. But I can't even imagine being a sideman and going on the road. It's two different jobs, band leading and sideman. Because you go on the road maybe with music that you don't care much for, but it doesn't rely a lot on your shoulders.
No.
You're just following.
Yeah.
You're just following, and it's a lot more relaxing. Like, I used to be able to tour with a tour manager.
I remember you said that at the Dakota.
Yeah, and so I would just be one of the, musicians and just follow.
Yeah.
And it's so much more relaxing, so much less work on my shoulders, not to have to answer every question that the band has or that the people in the venue have. And but
why don't you tour with the manager anymore?
Because there's just no more money. It's like an extra hotel, extra pay. You can't. I'm already like limiting the musicians I want to play with. When I recorded at Berlin, I was a septet with bass, drums, piano, guitar, trumpet, saxophone. That's the band.
That's what you would love to have.
Yeah. But on the road, it's just piano, bass, drums.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. How would you... Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that if streaming paid more, then they could take more people on the road, for example. If they could have a bigger band. You give them more creative freedom that isn't necessarily allowed right now. What sort of barriers or expectations are female musicians, in your experience, subjected to that in the music industry that male counterparts might not be?
Well, for me at the beginning, as a jazz singer, because that's what I was. I don't consider myself a jazz singer anymore, but that's where I kind of made my...
What do you consider just a singer?
Just singer-songwriter. Jazz is like a very small... It minimizes everything, Like, our goal is not to try and be trapped in a word our goal is to expand, and I've been expanding for years, and my latest record is not jazz. But growing up in the jazz scene, being a woman was hard because it's a very male-dominated area, and you get at the jam session and they just already like, ugh, a singer. And I had to really prove myself twice as hard as the saxophonist who just shows up and gets red carpet because he's a horn player, even if he sucks. So I take it as like, it was cool because I got to really, really learn the language, and I had to just show that I know what I'm doing. And I think that's part of the reason why I have this language, this, improvisation idiom, thanks to the fact that I had to work harder than all the other male instrumentalists. And also show that I don't need to know how to read music or know what chord this is to make music, because I don't know how to read music and all that stuff, but I still hear everything. So that was, making my way through that was a thing. And whenever I teach, all my students are going through that, and it's just, that's the way it is, and it's a rite of passage. And I just tell them, man, you get to use this as a challenge, and you get to be stronger at the end. But today, being a woman, kind of weird things, like I'm very comfortable, for example, in my body, and a lot of these songs that I wrote in this latest album is I wrote them in the jungle, and in the jungle I live naked, and my parents have seen me naked a million times. That's how I am. I like to walk around naked. And so it's kind of the theme of my latest album, because it's all very personal music, very raw and intimate. It's like my journal. Whenever I post an advertisement for the album or whatever, I get backlash, often from France, weirdly, from French people being like, why are these pictures, what do these pictures have to do with the music or whatever? And first of all, I'm just being me, you know? And also, it works. That's the crazy thing, is that it works. When there's skin, you get more views. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to we have to play the game. Mm-hmm. We're trying to make money. Mm-hmm. Our job is not limited to singing and making music. Yeah. Our job is navigating social media, and I'm just starting to kind of realize that, okay, I've always been like, I hate this. I hate having to be good at this. I hate doing social media, but I'm still doing it. And I'm starting to realize, okay, instead of just being like, I hate this, try to be smart about it. Mm-hmm. So that you have to do less of it, and mm-hmm. that it has a bigger effect. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's part of the job. And
yeah, totally.
And sometimes getting comments and stuff can bring you down, but I realize it's only getting more views because there's more comments.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, fuck the haters, you know. Like,
fuck the haters.
Yeah.
To me, like, yes, there's debates about, you know, how much of your image you want to show, and what is, you know, there's two sides of feminisms or whatever. For me, I don't care. I think the female body is beautiful, and I feel good in it, and I want to inspire women to like cut the taboos. Come on, mm-hmm. whatever, but there might be debates about that, but to me, that's not the part that I'm like, I want to fight about. To me, what I think is stupid is, okay, you see a picture that you're like, oh, you don't like it, then it's not for you. Mm-hmm. Keep scrolling. There's tons of stuff that you might like. Yeah. But I don't understand people who will stop on something they don't like and put energy into it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, it wasn't meant for you.
Yeah.
Just keep scrolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's bizarre. Mm. That's interesting, though. Yeah, and I mean, like, your socials, like, it's about you. It's not about necessarily just you as an artist. Like, it's your profile. It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, post whatever you want. That's what I
exactly.
say. Yeah. Next question is, outside of streaming and recorded music, do you feel like you're generally compensated adequately, and that the compensation you get reflects the value of your work?
I used to feel that, yeah. I used to make more money, actually. But the fees have stayed the same, and the expenses have gone up. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like I said, I used to tour with a tour manager and one extra band member, but there's no more money for that. Wow. Because the fees are not going up. No one, like, you play in the same club year after year, and they're not paying you more.
No.
And the expenses go up. So, and the crazy part is that the agents and the managers are still taking their percentage off the top.
Yeah.
That drives me insane, because like that's been the deal in the music business forever, and it hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. And so the agents will look for gigs, and they don't care about the routing. They don't care that you're doing this, because they're just getting off of the percentage of what they negotiated. And then you have to go and pay for the flights and look for the cheapest hotels so that you can pay the band. Mm-hmm. And so in the end, what the agent negotiated and what you're getting, it's a world of difference. Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are all agents like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just how it is.
Mm-hmm. That's how it is.
Yeah. There's often a perception that successful artists today, like people's favorite artists, are wealthy and well off, which is often very different from the actual reality. Have you noticed that?
Well, there's a big gap.
Yeah.
There's like the 5% artists who are getting everything, who are getting all the space on TV, on radio, on ads, on like the festivals are paying for them. Festivals are spending all the money on that one artist, and then there's all the other ones who are just getting the scraps. So, yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, yeah. And last year on Spotify, 90% of all the revenue that they paid out to rights holders went to the top 1% of artists.
Okay, so 1%, not 5%.
Yeah, it's 90, which is just insane.
Oh my God, yeah.
But, yeah.
And they're working maybe like 5 times a year.
Yeah, right. So part of what I've noticed in my research about streaming is that it's taken away a lot of barriers, which is good. Like you no longer need a label to release music online. Even recording music is a lot more accessible than it was in the past. But at the same time, artists now have to be their own social media manager. They have to be their own booking agent. They have to be their own marketing. How much of your time is spent managing your art versus making your art?
I mean, I do more business than music. That's why I take time off to go to the jungle or whatever, where I don't have internet there, and I can really focus on the music. But I mean, even when you're on tour, you're not being creative. You're just on your phone, whatever, because you're in the car for hours, or and the show is just you're performing your usual set, So it's hard to find time to be creative. Like when I got here last few days ago, I went straight to the Bayou Bar, which is a little restaurant bar. It's on St. Charles Avenue, and Nicholas Payton was playing keys, Jameson Ross was playing drums, Ricardo Pascal on saxophone, Peter Harris on bass. And I just sat in and we just jammed on some jazz standards, and it just felt so good.
I'm sure.
To not be like trying to like do my show, just to create with them, and it felt incredible to do that. And they were also on that because they're also touring musicians, and we were talking about this with Jameson, how this is medicine. We need this because we can get sick of our own music. It's like,
I'm sure.
You write these songs. You're not writing them so that you can play them every night for a year. You're writing them because they need to come out, and then that's it. But then you have to promote it. It's promotion. You're promoting your album that you're going to sell after the show.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to do this repertoire. But, and Jameson's out there playing his record, and he's killing it.
Yeah.
But when you come home and you get into this club and just jam and just, whatever. Who cares what songs we're playing? Yeah. It feels really amazing. And so for the social media, that's a lot of our energy goes into that, into the promoting, just like the concerts. It's just promoting. And I try to, like, every day post a story or whatever.
Well, I just think it's so interesting how what you're saying about this is medicine, like being able to play music like that, and how far the reality of like touring is from that feeling, and how linked that is to the economic realities of the music industry. Like people have to be out there promoting their album. Like I'm sure there are so many people who would love to just like, I don't know, not have to work so hard and just focus on their art.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's ever been possible in the music industry, but it is a goal. If we can get to a point where artists are able just to focus on their art. I mean, they'll always have to focus. Building a music career will always require work, but shouldn't require being taken advantage of. And
yeah, it shouldn't take the priority on making real music, you know.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, how do you navigate, like, kind of staying true to yourself, while balancing just all the chaos and often discouraging realities of the music industry?
Staying true to myself as a person.
Yeah, as a person,
Um,
or just as an artist, or just like not letting yourself. I don't know. I guess like what keeps you going, just the music.
yeah, when the music is good. On the road, that keeps me going,
Mm-hmm.
and also knowing that I'll have a break, like
Yeah.
just seeing the finish line sometimes also helps. Knowing that, for example, when I used to live in New York, that's why I moved, is like I used to be on the roads. I went to New York so that I could go to the clubs and jam and get inspired by all the musicians there, and and then my career started taking off, and I started being on the road more. And I'm just paying this crazy rent in New York, but I'm on the road. And then when I come back from the road, I'm in New York City, which is not
Relaxing.
relaxing.
Yeah.
So, just knowing that, okay, in 3 weeks, I'll be in New Orleans in my little house. Or I'll be in the jungle, that.
Or out on the water.
Exactly. But yeah, honestly, lately the jungle has been kind of like a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing it exists.
Yeah.
It's like my oasis in my mind when I'm starting to feel... Because I start to feel claustrophobic on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I feel... Because you don't have... Your time is not yours. You're just on a schedule all day.
Mm-hmm.
From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, every hour is scheduled. And even if you have like 2 hours off, you don't know what the hell to do. You're in a new place. Like, it usually takes time to adapt to a place and know where you like to go, take a walk where you like to go. But nothing is ever familiar. Everything is always new. And sometimes you only get to either take a shower or eat something or take a nap or go outside. You can't do all of these, so you have to pick. Okay, today I won't shower because I'm too hungry, or I'm too tired, so I'm not gonna eat.
Yeah.
And so on the road, it's difficult. But when I'm able to ride my bike and stuff like that, it's easy to stay true to myself.
Yeah. How do you have is it hard to, I imagine it would be very hard to put on a good attitude every day of tour.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's a job.
Yeah.
And I realized that my body and my spirit spare me a lot. Because oftentimes, and this happened at the end of this tour actually, oftentimes my body and my spirit will just hold on till the end. Like, just because I have to, or else it's too hard. And then after the last note of the last show, I crumble in pieces. And it's happened several times where, it manifests in just getting sick. Like, I'm holding on, and after the tour, I just get sick. And then my time off is just me, like, being sick, recovering, and getting better just as soon as I have to go back out. But this time it manifested after the show, we were supposed to go to get dinner, and we arrived at the restaurant, and I don't know, there was like bright lights and whatever, and I was just feeling really weird, and I said, guys, I'll meet you there, I just gotta go for a walk. And I went for a walk, and I just started crying. It came from nowhere. I wasn't sad. It was just crying from exhaustion, just tears. And I was like, what the hell? And then I felt, okay, this feels good, just do it. Your body needs you to expel all this energy that was pent up, and I just cried of exhaustion. And I just hadn't realized how tired I was until I was allowed to be.
Sure. Totally. Wow. Kind of just wrapping up here, what would you like to see different about the music industry, just on a broad level? More money for streaming?
Yeah, more money in the mail.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of the work we do, we don't get paid for.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the work we do when we're writing the songs or when we're rehearsing or when we're just working on ourselves so that we can make better art, you know, just working on myself as a person, as a human, just being, really is working on my art. And
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, the touring, the show is, we get paid for the 1 hour and a half of the show, but the other time we're not getting paid when we're traveling, when we're...
No.
So, you know, getting some of that in the mail for all our work that we're doing when we're not performing,
Mm-hmm.
that would be great. And
How many months are you on the road?
more than not, but
Wow.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so unequal, you
Sure.
know?
But more than not, yeah.
Yeah, more than not.
Yeah.
Yeah, like usually when I have time off, it's not more than 2 weeks.
Mm.
Like when I'm home.
Yeah.
Last time I was home was a month and a half ago, and I was home for 5 days. And before that, it was 2 months.
Wow.
So, and now I'm here for 10 days, and I'm going out for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So more money from streaming, definitely. And yeah, I would like more, like a better team understanding between the agents and the managers. Like, we need to make this gig happen in order for all of us to make money. We need to get there. We need to have a place to sleep. So let's all pay for the expenses. Like, let's the expenses be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking money off of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That to me is just,
Bizarre.
that needs to change.
Yeah.
Because or else they don't really care about negotiating for a higher fee.
No, why would they?
They don't care.
Yeah.
And also the routing. It's not good for the environment to be taking planes left and right.
No.
I feel bad
Yeah.
being in planes all the time because of that. And so I don't know. One thing that I feel like should really change is managers and agents taking their percentage after the expenses.
Yeah. Do you feel like, what about outside of economics? Outside of the money, where do you think our priority should be as a music community? Like, for example, what you were saying about having the jam here the other night, like that type of feeling doesn't happen very often for a lot of professional touring musicians.
It doesn't happen on the road.
On the road, yeah.
But here it happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I moved here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of other places where you can just walk into a bar for free and see 2 sets of Nicholas Payton, Jameson Ross, like...
With a special appearance by... No.
Yeah, that's what I love about this place, is that there's always incredible music happening and very spontaneous music. And also a lot of dancing, and I love dancing, and I miss dancing when I'm on the road, because here I have my giant speakers and I just put music on and I dance around. But over there I'm traveling with my little Bluetooth. It's not the same.
No.
But yeah, I get a lot of healing from being here, because you know, it's a balance. When I'm off the road, sometimes I just need silence, and the jungle is great for that. I just need no music. I need to take a break from the music to find myself as a human being, not as a musician. But sometimes when I get off the road, I need music because I'm so sick and tired of my own music. I'm just, you know, it's not inspiring to me after a while, after like the repetitiveness. And so I want to hear other people's music. I want to get inspired by other people, because that's how we grow as musicians, is listening to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're on the road, you only get to listen to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a balance.
Yeah. I like what you said, like, about the music community here. Like, I think the values of community and connection and sharing the experience of being alive, like, that's what music is about. And then how it's set up in our current world is very, very, very far from that.
Yeah. There's not many places like New Orleans where musicians go out to hear each other and sit in each other's gigs, and there's just so much music that no one's like, my gig, you know. People are very generous, and it wasn't like that in New York.
No, it's certainly not like that in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and you can understand, because it's harder, like the rent is crazy, and New York is all about hustling, but here it's really all about community.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have any advice for aspiring artists who might look up to you?
Well, after being so Debbie Downer, I feel a little bad, but yeah, if you want to do this, you gotta really love it. You gotta really, really, really love it. And I guess an advice would be to make sure you find a balance and don't put all of your hopes on the music. Not saying that you need another job or whatever, meaning that...
No, but you need to have some worth.
Exactly.
Yeah, besides.
You need to take care of yourself as a human and love other things and being interested in other things, because if you put all the pressure on the music, it's not good for the music. It's not good for you. And I've seen so many of my friends, especially in New York, just like become stuck and uninspired and depressed because they never took some time off, you know, because you think you have to say yes to every gig because you're a musician, but you're also human. So you got to go out in nature, you got to travel, you got to, you know, learn other things.
Feel like a normal human. Yeah.
When I was during the pandemic, when we couldn't play any shows, a lot of my friends were like, who am I? And I felt very lucky because becoming an architect all of a sudden, just designing a house, I poured all my creativity in it, and I was...
Wait, so you didn't have anyone like look over you designed the whole thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And there's a video on YouTube of it if you want to go. Cyrille Aimée Jungle House. It's pretty epic. And honestly, I took as much pleasure as making music in designing this house. I was obsessed. I was just every day drawing and trying and visualizing, and then in my dreams I was designing the house, and I was waking up with an idea and then erasing, and it was just so much fun to get so much inspiration, creativity from something else than music.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and have a good next few months, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, go Campfire.
Go Campfire.